Mr. Secretary, the huge Chinese app TikTok has about 30 million users in the United States, but it's been banned now by India, and Australia is considering the same action, saying that TikTok was full of mass surveillance and propaganda, and also that the app had the ability to feed information straight to Beijing. So kind of obvious question. If all that's the case, shouldn't we be considering right now, tonight, a ban on Chinese social media apps, especially TikTok?
Laura, your viewers should know we're taking this very seriously. We're certainly looking at it. We've worked on this very issue for a long time, whether it was the problems of having Huawei technology in your infrastructure. We've gone all over the world, and we're making real progress getting that out. We declared ZTE a danger to American national security. We've done all of these things with respect to Chinese apps on people's cell phones. I can assure you the United States will get this one right, too, Laura. I don't want to get out in front of the president, but it's something we're looking at.
Would you recommend that people download that app on their phones tonight, tomorrow, anytime currently?
Only if you want your private information in the hands of the Chinese Communist Party.
Mr. Secretary, it's great to see you as always tonight. Thank you,
Laura.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to New on Realist. That was the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, saying publicly there in that interview with Fox News' Laura Ingraham, that the United States is looking into banning TikTok along with other Chinese social media apps. Now, we're looking here at the article as reported by Zero Hedge. After an intrepid group of TikTok teens purportedly sabotaged President Trump's Tulsa, Oklahoma campaign comeback rally by fraudulently requesting 1 million tickets, as Trump campaign manager Brad Parscale put it in a tweet when he announced the numbers. By doing this, the media narrative goes that the teens supposedly stopped thousands of eager Oklahoman Trump supporters from obtaining tickets to the rally. Now, you remember that where the media went crazy, saying that that this was the case. And if it was so, then didn't a Chinese social media app get used in a campaign to interfere in a U.S. political election? I must have missed that part, being reported. Well, actually, it was reported. And I think when the media realized that what they were reporting was giving Trump ammunition to say that China, or at least the Chinese social media app, was being used to interfere in an American election, I think they realized, wait a minute, we better play this one down, because otherwise, we can't use this this trick again. So whether you believe that that's what occurred or not, I mean, that was the initial take that was out there. So you saw that the New York Times, as we'll see in this one, they suddenly had to TikTok teens and K-pop stans say they sang Trump rally. Did a successful prank inflate attendance expectations for President Trump's a rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma? So, Taylor Lawrence, who was one of the writers of that article, they had to write that back, walk that back a little bit to try to downplay that, because otherwise, they would be basically admitting that a Chinese social media app was interfering in the U.S. elections. So, before let's go on with the Zero Hedge article, but before the liberals break out the ukuleles and start strumming the openings to "I Believe the Children Are the Future," Secretary of State Mike Pompeo told Fox News host Laura Ingraham during a Monday evening interview that the administration, as you just heard, is looking into, quote unquote, the possibility of banning the app in the United States. Washington Post noted that Pompeo's interview and his comments on TikTok followed the TikTok teens' sabotage campaign. So that's this is the line that the mainstream media is, I guess, planning to take when they report on this. But this is hardly the first time that Secretary of State Pompeo has warned about the dangers of using the app. They're right about that. This has been since way before the Tulsa rally. But at this point, we wouldn't be surprised to learn that the White House sees this as a bunch of gullible American teenagers being manipulated like a gang of useful idiots by the Chinese Communist Party. Notably, Kellyanne Conway's teenage daughter. I mean, some of that's been hilarious. Kellyanne Conway's teenage daughter is now using the app to thoroughly embarrass the bejesus out of her mother and her father, I might add. Don't think it's just Kellyanne Conway that's being embarrassed. Her father looks like a dope by airing the family dirty laundry in public. I mean, why they haven't taken the phone away from that girl, I have no idea. She's going to ruin her life. Mark my words, if they don't take that phone away from that girl. She's 15 years old. She is a walking calamity. But you gotta understand, if people think this is just Trump angry about his Tulsa rally that they interfered with, guys, you're missing the big picture here. India's already banned TikTok, as well as 59 other Chinese apps. So this is not exclusive to the United States. Let's see it. We'll go to the TikTok. Stop. 59 Chinese apps banned by India. This was a few days ago, actually, on June 30th. So last week, 7 days ago. Now this move came after the tension, where it was earlier in June, about mid-June, that China and India clashed in Ladakh on their border in the Kashmir disputed region, where the 20 Indian soldiers, I've heard reports that there were more, where 20 Indian soldiers died in that, more than 70 injured according to this report. But you're going to see how serious this has gotten with TikTok and the Chinese social media apps that India has blocked, because it's not just about being pissed off about that clash on in the disputed areas. New Delhi, the center has blocked 59 apps with Chinese links that included the hugely popular TikTok, WeChat, and UC browser, amid a huge economic backlash against China following the June 15 clashes at Ladakh that I described. So let's skip forward. The move comes. I'll start here. Within minutes of the announcement, the Indian government's TikTok account, MyGov, which had 1.1 million followers, was disabled. The move comes a day after Prime Minister Narendra Modi said India has given a befitting response to China. He also spoke of the countrywide call for boycott of Chinese goods, just opposing it against the government's Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign. We will buy local and be vocal for local, and this will help India become stronger, he said. India views this as an attack on their sovereignty by China, these apps. In a statement this evening, the government said the apps were blocked. In view of information available, they are engaged in activities which is prejudicial to sovereignty and integrity of India, defense of India, security of state and public order. So here's the guy. I believe he's in charge of the Indian Ministry of Electronics and Information and Technology. We have Ravi Shankar Prasad. He put out on Twitter, for safety, security, defense, sovereignty, and integrity of India, and to protect data and privacy of people of India, the government has banned 59 mobile apps. Jai Hindi. Or is it Jai Hind? I apologize. That's an exclamation point. The statement from the Ministry of Electronics and Information and Technology said it received an exhaustive recommendation from the Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center and the Ministry of Home Affairs. The ministry said it also received representations from people on, quote, security of data and risk to privacy regarding certain apps. The compilation of these data, its mining and profiling by elements hostile to national security and defense of India, which ultimately impinges upon the sovereignty and integrity of India, is a matter of very deep and immediate concern which requires emergency measures. At the same time, there have been raging concerns on aspects relating to data security and safeguarding the privacy of 130 crore Indians, said the release. The move comes amid a countrywide call from traders and civil society to boycott. So India is not happy with China right now. But I want to look at the impact of this. Experts suggested that the ban on apps is a major blow to China's digital Silk Route ambitions eroding millions of dollars from valuation of its companies, and this could lead to more countries. Let me repeat that. This could lead to more countries following India's path in acting against these apps. Well, you want to know another country that looks like the next country that's going to join this train? Australia. TikTok could be banned in Australia over fears the Chinese app poses a risk to national security and is feeding information to the Communist Party. Calls for TikTok to be banned as it's believed to be a threat to national security. This is Australia, people. This isn't Trump worried about some rally in Tulsa. India's already banned it. They're the second largest country in the world. Now we have Australia, one of our closest allies, is also on the verge of banning TikTok for national security reasons. Calls for TikTok to be banned, believed to be a threat to national security, app owned by Chinese company ByteDance and used by 1.6 million Australians. MP revealed plan to put it before Senate inquiry over fears it is collecting data. Guys, you got to understand, if you have this app on your phone and you work in a sensitive company that works on stuff that's top secret, if you work in the Australian defense, in the defense industry in Australia, or worse, in the military or one of their national security government agencies, you are now a security risk. Because you have a Chinese spyware and you're walking it into your sensitive place of work. A piece of basically it's known. It's a known risk. So let's read more about Australia's concerns. The Australian government is facing calls to ban TikTok amid concerns the social media platform poses a national security threat and users' data may be being shared with China. And I'm going to show you how that may be is not a maybe. The popular video app owned by Chinese company ByteDance is used more than 1.6 million Australians. A federal MP, that's member of parliament, has revealed plans to put TikTok before the foreign interference through social media Senate inquiry over fears it is collecting data and storing the information on Chinese servers. So you see where they're examining this in the Australian Parliament? Their foreign interference through social media Senate inquiry. That's basically the equivalent of a committee. The unnamed MP said TikTok has flown under the radar in Australia and should be considered as an effort by the Chinese Communist Party to collect data. It might be dressed differently, but it's the same beast, the MP told the Herald Sun. According to the Member of Parliament, multiple members of Parliament are pushing to have the app banned, arguing it poses a bigger threat than Chinese-owned messaging app WeChat. Committee Chair Senator Jenny McAllister said TikTok should comply with the request to be hauled before the Senate inquiry, as Australians will expect a response from the company. Part of the job of this committee is to get all those stakeholders in the room and create a forum where we can have really good discussion about what are the boundaries and what is and isn't acceptable on these type of matters. Australian Strategic Policy Institute analyst Fergus Ryan said TikTok was full of mass surveillance and propaganda. The app also censored all anti-China opinions and had the ability to feed information straight to Beijing, Mr. Ryan said. He said it was no question the Chinese Communist Party had a hold of the data, as there are members of the party within the company. Foreign Interference Committee member Kimberly Kitching said Australians do not understand what apps like TikTok do with their personal information. Given that there is credible evidence to suggest that TikTok users' data has been sent back to servers in China, where it can then be analyzed and used by authorities to identify and build profiles to track users, it would be entirely appropriate for senior representatives from that company to appear before the committee to answer questions on this, the Labour senator said. So, Liberal member of Parliament and chairman of the Intelligence and Security Committee, Andrew Hastie, in February claimed the app was a national security threat. So both major parties. This is a bipartisan issue in Australia. Both major parties regard TikTok as a threat to their national security in Australia. China's National Intelligence Law of 2017 means the Chinese government can compel businesses to share information with them. He told ABC's 730 at the time. So I doubt if our information is secure when it's owned by Chinese companies. And what are they talking about? What is this Beijing National Security Law? Well, let's take a look at the text of that law. And what they're talking about is Article 14. This is the 2017 law that was passed, the National Intelligence Law of the People's Republic. And Article 14 states, and guys, this is a broad article. The State Intelligence Work Organization shall carry out intelligence work according to law and may require relevant organs, organizations, and citizens to provide necessary support and assistance and cooperation. What that means in layman's terms is that you must comply with the intelligence apparatus of the Chinese Communist Party. They can compel you. You cannot say no. It is the law. So Article 7, it pretty much sets up Article 14 when it says any organization or citizen shall support, assist, and cooperate with the state intelligence work in accordance with the law and keep the secrets of the national intelligence work known to the public. So not only must you assist them, you must keep that a secret. So you can't even tell, of course you can't tell someone that you're doing this intelligence work for the Chinese Communist Party. So this is extremely dangerous. So the modus operandi, if bear with me. This is in Wikipedia, but it's you can check the open source citations that they make here. It is believed that Chinese espionage is aimed at the preservation of China's national security through gaining commercial, technological, and military secrets. Okay, it's par for the course for every country. It is generally believed that Chinese intelligence agencies operate differently from other espionage organizations by employing primarily academics or students who will be in their host country only a short time, rather than spending years cultivating a few high-level sources or double agents. So you've seen all these stories about Chinese students and Chinese professors at all these U.S. universities getting rounded up in counterintelligence investigations and getting espionage charges. The use of non-traditional intelligence assets is codified in Chinese law. Article 14, there's that Article 14 again. Article 14 of China's 2017 National Intelligence Law mandates, it's not ask, this is mandates that Chinese intelligence agencies may ask relevant institutions, organizations, and citizens to provide necessary support, assistance, and cooperation. Again, you don't get a choice. Much information about the Chinese intelligence services comes from defectors, whom the People's Republic of China accuses of lying to promote an anti-PRC agenda. So, that's the MO. And this has actually been seen. Here we have TikTok users. If you think this is some hypothetical thing, it's already manifested in the real world. And the users of TikTok, even here in the United States, they see the algorithm and well, I shouldn't even say algorithm because I believe it's directly manipulated. If you want to get promoted by TikTok, gush about China, and they will boost your views. This story was actually appeared in the Wall Street Journal. It's behind a paywall, so I'm getting it here from the China Technology News. TikTok users gush about China hoping to boost views. It wasn't dancing or music that powered Texas songwriter TJ Asadeh toward TikTok stardom. He believes it was a video about his love for China. The 13-second video posted in April shows Mr. Asadeh in front of the Chinese flag while the country's national anthem blares. Pointing to a photo of Xi Jinping, the 23-year-old calls the Chinese leader "my president." This is an American referring to the Chinese the Chinese leader Xi Jinping as his president. By mid-May, his account skyrocketed from 2,000 fans to over 90,000. He gained almost 90,000 fans in less than a month because he made that video calling Xi Jinping his president while playing the Chinese national anthem. I've never seen any type of growth on my page until I made that joking video, he said. Glorifying China with a wink is emerging as an unexpected new trend on TikTok, the short video app whose already high popularity has soared during the coronavirus pandemic. Hundreds of users have uploaded satirical pro-China clips in recent months. Now you gotta understand, what comes off as satire, the Chinese just use it as propaganda, so of course they're boosting this. Some hashtag with "I love China," or variants like "Notice me, Xi Jinping." Many feature the use of Mandarin, that's the Chinese language, or include gestures like kissing a photo of Mr. Xi or saluting the Chinese flag. Several users contacted by the Wall Street Journal say they are doing it because they think the videos can help them build audiences on the app. So here the users are telling you that from what they've seen, what they perceive, and what they believe is that having praise for China, the Chinese Communist Party, or Xi Jinping will gain them followers and views on TikTok. For some, popularity can lead to advertising partnerships, though many just want a bigger personal following, and they assume TikTok, whose parent is Beijing-based ByteDance Limited, will promote their content more widely if it pleases China. Others say they were just poking fun at China. ByteDance dismissed the theory that its app rewards pro-China content. A company spokesman called the idea ridiculous and referred to the pro-China video trend as just more satire on the app. There is no conclusive evidence that pro-China videos do better than others. Users themselves are divided over the matter, with some reporting little to no impact after posting pro-China material. It couldn't be determined why Mr. Asaday's follower count jumped. Many things can affect popularity of content online, including the possibility that some users simply find the videos amusing. Yeah, so some random guy in the United States says Mr. Xi Jinping is his president, and he suddenly gains 90,000 followers overnight. But no, we can't explain why, how that happened. Still, the circulation of tongue-in-cheek pro-China material on TikTok undermines its goals of seeming more American and distancing itself from its China roots. Last year, the United States launched a national security review of the app. So this is in 2019 where TikTok became a concern, and I can tell you that because it's the reason I have a social media presence for the Neo Realist channel just about everywhere. But I deliberately haven't put one on TikTok because I don't trust that thing on my phone. It's Chinese spyware. So last year the U.S., following the concerns by U.S. senators that it censored content at Beijing's behest, media reports have alleged TikTok removes videos that are politically sensitive in China, including ones involving pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong, which TikTok has denied. Now, more recently, TikTok has hired former Disney executive Kevin Mayer as its chief executive and considered plans to set up a separate global headquarters outside of China. This Disney sellout, or ex-Disney executive sellout, Kevin Mayer, he couldn't find another job. He's gonna act as the CEO of this Chinese spyware app. And let me tell you, if you think that does anything, in China's law, even foreigners that are operating Chinese companies are subject to Article 14 of the Chinese National Security Law. So that doesn't provide immunity to TikTok just because the CEO is Kevin Mayer. So what are we to make of this? I mean, we have Stick Sexenhammer. He's pretty good. He believes that at this point, anyone using TikTok is nuts. And that being said, he says he believes that it should not be within the right of the U.S. government to ban its use. Ordinarily, I'm with Sticks on this, but you got to understand, the reason I'm going to disagree with him here is because of the overt threat to U.S. national security posed by this app. You have to understand how serious this is. This stuff came up as far back as 2017 when China passed that national intelligence law. You have even left-wing organizations that were concerned about it. Here's a woman, Bonnie Girard, writing back in February of 2019. This is over a year ago, people. The real danger of China's national intelligence law. There's a bloody history behind the idea that the average Chinese citizen should defend national security from unspecified threats. Here she's talking about it in the context of the Cultural Revolution under Mao, where Chinese were spying on each other. You know, I mean, she talks about counterintelligence being natural. You know, expecting companies to help defend the country. What she's talking about is the Chinese national intelligence law makes this an offensive proposition, where it's one of the few places in the world that has made it the law that you have to help your country spy on other countries. But the big analysis on this that most people point to was this July 2017 article written in Lawfare. I'm not 100% certain, but I think I've heard it before that Lawfare is a more left-leaning organization. But this is what they wrote in 2017 about the national intelligence law, from defense to offense. China's national intelligence law, enacted on June 27th with unusual speed and limited public discussion, is a uniquely troubling milestone in Beijing's 4-year-old campaign to toughen its security legislation. Like the more widely reported cybersecurity law, which went into effect on June 1st, and a raft of other recent statutes, the intelligence law places ill-defined and open-ended new security obligations and risks not only on U.S. and other foreign citizens doing business or studying in China, but in particular on their Chinese partners and co-workers. Of special concern are signs that the intelligence law's drafters are trying to shift the balance of these legal obligations from intelligence defense to offense. That is, by creating affirmative legal responsibilities for Chinese and in some cases foreign citizens, companies or organizations operating in China to provide access, cooperation, or support for Beijing's intelligence gathering activities. The new law is the latest in an interrelated package of national security, cyberspace, and law. So the long story short, that was just the latest of a bunch of laws China passed, basically increasing the burden on Chinese citizens, companies, and even foreigners acting in China or in concert with Chinese companies, putting the burden on them that you have to do this. So, initial press coverage of the intelligence law spotlighted concerns that it would grant intelligence officials the right to enter otherwise restricted facilities, examine private records, investigate and question personnel, and access or even requisition communications or transport equipment owned by companies or individuals. But while the new law does grant these powers, similar authorizations have already been granted in other legislation, most notably the Counter-Espionage Law, Articles 9 through 16, and the Cybersecurity Law. It is the Counter-Espionage Law which most closely parallels the new intelligence law in its structure and focus. As the name implies, the Counter-Espionage Law is far more defensive in orientation than the intelligence law. Article 4 requires all Chinese citizens to preserve, not harm national security, and obligates all public groups, enterprises, organizations. Okay. The intelligence law, by contrast, repeatedly obliges individuals, organizations, and institutions to assist public security and state security officials in carrying out a wide array of, quote, intelligence work. Article 7 stipulates that any organization or citizen shall support, assist, and cooperate with state intelligence work according to law. Article 14, in turn, grants intelligence agencies authority to insist on this support. So that's the difference here. So this is why, especially if you remember, was a few weeks ago, where Apple, I believe it was, discovered that there was data being stolen by the TikTok app. And guys, if you don't think that TikTok is Chinese spyware by now, I think you're nuts. So just to sum it up, India has already banned this crap. Okay, Australia is seems like they're down the road and considering banning this. Looks like that's going to happen. As a result of whatever investigation that's going on here, because it looks like both parties want to do this. It's not like a thing where it's an issue for one party and not the other. If usually in a government, when both parties want something, you could pretty much sense the way the wind is blowing. And the fact that here in the United States that this has been being investigated since last year, officially in the U.S. government, and here's Pompeo saying publicly, basically signaling this is the way we're headed. I just think that you're going to see more and more. If you have already India, Australia's leaning this way, the United States, how long is it before countries in the European Union, the United Kingdom, they start considering banning TikTok?